Welcome to the Photo Flunky Show, episode 98. Today we're going to talk about how to photograph a travel location you already shot. Kind of like returning to the scene of the crime, isn't it?
Yes.
Hi, my name is William Beem.
Hi, my name is Lee Beem.
And before we get to all that, I want to let you know that show notes are going to be available at williambeem.com/episode 98. And you can find links to subscribe to the show there. Also, visit photoflunky.com. You can find a player there for the podcast so you can listen to this and any other show that we've done before. I also want to tell you that I've got a free ebook for you, and you can find it at williambeem.com/freebook. It's called Creative Portraits. It is about the emotional and creative side of portrait photography rather than the technical side. It is free. Share it with a friend, have fun, and let me know what you think of it. Maybe we'll do some more of these things. Why return to the same place? If you're going traveling, a lot of people, don't want to do that. I mean, I think there's a group of people that like to vacation or travel to the same place over and over again. And there's a group of people that want to see something new every time. But as a photographer, do you have a preference, Lee? I mean, do you want to go to the same place over and over again, or do you want to explore something new?
I like a mix of both. Usually my reasons for going to the same place, let's just keep this purely photography related, because maybe I've learned something or found something else and there's a missed opportunity. And basically I want to correct, not a mistake, but something that I missed or something that I didn't do the way I think I could do it.
I think that's a good reason. And we're going to get into a few other ideas of, what you can do differently when you get there. I've gone to some places that are different every time. And there are a couple of places I've gone back to over and over again. One of them is Las Vegas. I really enjoy visiting Las Vegas. Matter of fact, Lee and I have a trip coming up in a few weeks.
Yes.
So we're going to go there and we're going to take some shots that we didn't take before. And we don't know what those are going to be yet. And also we're going to do it in a different way. We're not taking our DSLRs on this trip.
We're not. Actually, we didn't take them on our last trip either because that was our honeymoon.
No, that's true.
And
I've taken them there many times, sometimes on my own, sometimes because I went there for Photoshop World. I really do enjoy shooting parts of that city, and not just the city, but I've also kind of ventured out into Utah, down to, the Hoover Dam and, places that are located in and around, within a convenient drive, I would say. It's a place that is constantly changing, and I think that makes it interesting. But also I realize there are things that I wanted to do and haven't gotten, or maybe things that I got before that I think I can do better now, or maybe I can do it in a different or interesting way.
there are so many details in there, and my eye is sort of tuned into detail. So I'm pretty excited about just relaxing. I think sometimes it's easier when you have been before because you have an idea of what's there. There might be new things or some things that have changed. But when you know what's there, sometimes you come back and you think, that actually would have made a great shot. Next time I go back, you go.
Well, that kind of leads into the next question is, so what do you want to do that you didn't do before?
Las Vegas was the place where I started taking photos on my phone.
Yeah.
I was not one to use my phone for photos. And also that's really where I got into food photography. I didn't do food photography before that. And that's really where my interest kind of peaked. And I think it was part of the setting around the plate of food and the presentation, because we went to some nice restaurants.
Oh, we did. And we're going to go to some more.
Oh, yeah. And this is all about the food. Lee wants to be piggy. I want the food photos. I think that just, I saw food in a different light, photographically when I was there. And that really, that was the place that sparked my interest in food photography. And I am doing more now than ever before.
That's
so
true.
I'm keen to go back and do some more.
That's true, because we can't really go out to a restaurant and start our meal until Lee has our photographs.
Everybody asks permission to eat.
It's not just a matter of if you're going to photograph our food as well. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But we don't want to move around and get in the way of your shot. Because there are a couple times, I've moved a napkin or I've picked up a salt shaker, and it's...
You got to sigh and then I pick it up and move it.
Something like that. There are always things that maybe on your first trip, you kind of wish that you'd thought of while you were there. And as an example, a few years ago, I went with Santa Fe Photographic Workshops to Cuba. And next year, early in January, February timeframe, I'm going back with them. And the reason I'm going back is because now I have a completely different vision of what I didn't capture when I was there before. And I know exactly what I want to get. And I'm looking for things, in this case, kind of with a business intent in mind. Before, it was a vacation. Let's go take some pictures. We have a nice time. And I came back, was very pleased with a lot of the shots I took. But now I realize some of the things that I kind of left on the table, and I want to go back with a different eye and kind of pick up those shots.
You do, you change the way you look at things as well. And I think also when you know what's there, you don't waste as much time thinking twice. And when I say that, I mean, when you see something for the first time, you're actually trying to take it in for yourself. And then you're trying to think about a photo. It's almost two separate processes. Once you know what's there, I think it's more relaxing and easier to go in and you know where to find some of the shots. And that frees you up to look for the new ones.
And also, I think your first visit to a place, you kind of look for the big shots. You know, in Las Vegas, the Bellagio fountains are obviously one of the big scenes that people see there. The replica of the Eiffel Tower is another one. You know, all these huge resorts have their kind of key features.
Yeah.
And you go to the Venetian, maybe it's the gondoliers, something like that. And I think it's very easy to get caught up in just those big shots, but also those are the shots that everybody else has done as well.
That's true. I like different things.
You do. And the other thing is, can you do some of those shots in a different way?
Well, that's also true. Different angles, maybe different lighting.
Let's talk about a few different ways to see a destination kind of in a new way, maybe what you didn't before. And one of the first ways to do it really is to shoot at different times. And by that, I don't necessarily mean just time of day, but also time of year. I mean, if you go visit some places during the different seasons, not Florida, because it's the same every season.
Yes, that's true, except for February.
Well, I tell you, Florida has two seasons, rainy and cloudy. Other places actually have a change of seasons. You can see spring and summer and autumn and winter as very different times to be there. And
yeah.
For example, I went to Zion National Park a couple of times, but each time I went, it was in winter and there were no leaves on the branches. You know, honestly, your landscape photos with scraggly trees look a little bit depressing. You know, I like the snow and I liked some of the other things that I saw there, but I'd kind of like to go back maybe in spring when things are blossoming and you get nice, full, lush colors.
That's true. I mean, last time we were in Las Vegas, it was like 118 degrees. It was the middle of summer. Now we're going and it's midwinter, but it's going to be cool in the evenings.
Yeah. So as soon as the sun goes down in Las Vegas on this trip, it's going to be cool. Because I used to go there for Christmas quite a lot. You know, you could walk around in a coat in the evening and be comfortable with that. And that kind of changes the feel, I think, of the people around, but also just the vibe of the city. One of the other things that's happening when we go there is Leah's running in the Las Vegas Marathon. And that means there's going to be a lot of people out there running. So while she's doing that, I might be looking for ways, can I get shots of people, you know, running down the strip? That's something you don't see any other time of year.
That's also true. So we could maybe get some nice shots
and
there.
I'm really not trying to do a whole lot of event photography, but the fact is, if I'm going to be there, the strip is lit up. They run this marathon at night.
Yes.
A lot of people, a lot of lights, you know, some bands, and it just gives me a chance to get a shot that I'm not going to see any other time of year. It's going to be an event that only happens for a few hours, one night a year.
That's true, because the next marathon, I'll take him to a different city, and the one after.
Exactly. We'll go to a number of places.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have a marathon series.
Yeah, photography marathon.
Another idea is to look for new angles, new perspectives, different ways of seeing the subject that you've seen before. So, for example, my angle on the Bellagio fountains was to go up to the Eiffel Tower and kind of shoot down on it.
Yeah.
And I like that shot. But sometimes, you know, maybe you will just want to get right up close to it. And instead of trying to shoot the whole thing, just shoot a couple of the fountains.
Yes.
And see if you can't get something.
Especially at night when you've got the lights. I got one that I took just with an old phone that was just before sunset. And it was just, the sky had that really deep blue, but there was that purpley pink color that was sort of residual from the sunset. It was just really pretty.
Yeah, so different times, different angles, different perspectives. You combine those together and you'll come back with a very different story. Now, when we were there, actually, it's not just there, but that's where I think I really paid attention to what you were doing. You really loved your detail shots.
Yeah, I always have, though. That's always been me. But at the sacrifice of maybe the bigger pictures. I mean, we went to House of Blues. I love House of Blues because of the decor. There's just, for somebody who's into details, it's just heaven.
Yeah, it's a target-rich environment.
It's just absolutely beautiful. And I mean, you were getting photos of the restaurant entrance, and you had like you could really get a feel through William's photos for where you were. I was kind of cutting all of that out and getting right in close, like into the corner of some bottle caps that had interesting decor on, or kind of looking through a wine glass into a lantern with, some olives on the side. It was just, I just really get up close.
Actually, that was one of the things I really liked, because you were getting in your food photography, but you had a nice eye for this wine glass or the olives that we had at a certain restaurant. That showed part of our experience in a way that I wasn't capturing. It was telling the story, both the big story of where we were, but also, I think, more of an intimate story of what we were experiencing.
Yeah, and that's kind of I'm more of a journal person. I think my mind, William thinks of the story. I tend to go in from a personal journal perspective.
You do, and I think between the two of us, we kind of capture the entire experience. But I've been to Las Vegas enough times that I've seen all of those big story items. I've photographed them. I don't really need to go back and capture those again. What I want to look at this time are some of the experiences that we have, and maybe we're going to go to different places. So, for example, last time around, we stayed at Hard Rock Hotel. We had a wonderful time there. There's a lot of interesting stuff there to see. This time, we're going to be at 2 resorts, and we're going to be on the Strip. I think that's going to change our perspective of what we see. And some of them are going to be like, personal snapshots. We want to see the room. We want to see if there's something interesting in there. Yeah. I know Hard Rock was actually a pretty cool room.
Oh, I liked Hard Rock. I liked my photos of all the guitars in the wall. I kind of got in close to the decorated guitars. I've got a few of those.
Yep. And this time, I've been to Mandalay Bay many times because of Photoshop World is typically held there when it's in Las Vegas. And also, we're going to stay at Aria. I've been there once before, but I've never really looked through the place as a photographer.
Well, this is the first time for both. I mean, we've been there to eat and walk around, but we haven't stayed there.
Actually, I remember one thing at Aria. Since I was staying there, I did take some shots of the exterior, like the Veer Towers and that big sculpture with all the canoes and kayaks and so forth. That was actually my very first attempt at HDR.
Oh.
So that was where it all started at Aria.
Oh, well, there you go. It's historic.
It's historic, but we won't be doing that this time because, like I said, I'm leaving the DSLRs at home and the tripods. Oh, actually, you know what? We've got that little
the little one. Yeah, you got to take the little one for the tabletop.
We're going this time. We both got iPhones. We've got a GoPro, and we've got a little Canon G7X Mark II. And one of the things I want to do different this year that I haven't done before is incorporate video into what we're doing to tell our story.
Oh, yes.
So I want to get some video of, the event that you're going through. It's like when you do the marathon, it's not just the race. I mean, you start off with your packet pickup. There's an event center, I think.
Yeah, there's the big expo. I'm meeting some friends.
So you meet some, but there's a whole story here just of the marathon. So there's the trip out there. There is the experience of going in, doing the packet pickup, meeting your friend, checking out the vendors. You're doing 2 races.
I am, because I'm doing just a quick 5K the night before.
So you got the 5K. Yeah. That's kind of like your shakeout run before the marathon. Yeah. Then you've got the marathon. And then, of course, at the end of the marathon, the wind down from it. I kind of want to see if I
wind down or wind down, because for me, it's going to be beer and wind down. I'm just making myself clear here.
For me, this is kind of I want to try and see if I can capture this in video as a story. There's obviously some still photos as well.
Yeah.
But this is a different way of shooting this travel location that we've been to so many times. Is now we're going there with a purpose. Instead of doing still photos, I'm looking at doing. I shouldn't say instead of. I'd say in addition to still photos, I'm also looking at doing video, and hopefully bring something together. I'm not looking at a long movie length thing. I just want to get, if it's 10 minutes or so, if even that much, just to kind of tell the story of your first out-of-town marathon.
Yeah, because I tend to stick local. Up until now, I've refused to travel for races.
And I want to be one of those guys that's just walking down the airport, holding up the little camera.
Yeah.
And everybody looking at me, it's like, what is he doing?
That's okay. Oh, there's so many people doing things there that you'll just blend in, which is kind of scary in Las Vegas, but you will just blend in.
That's true. Some of the other things that we talked about, how to see a destination in a new way is maybe change your distance from your subject. A lot of these things, people tend to go in the same spot and get the shot. Can you get higher or lower? Can you get closer or maybe look at it from a longer distance than what you normally would have?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes I'll look at my photographs. For example, when I was in Washington, D.C., and I got my photograph of the White House, got exactly what I wanted. And then I looked at some other photographs online. I thought, you know what? If I'd gone maybe 300 yards behind me and just taken an overall wide angle photo of all the people there and around it, it would have told a completely different story than just what I did.
Yeah.
And just changing your distance and where you're standing can have a great impact on what your photograph looks like.
Oh, absolutely.
And of course, there's always going to be shots that you miss.
Do you know what that comes with life? You cannot do everything every time.
No, you can't. But this gives you a chance to go back and try again. Is there something I think you've gone off and missed, and maybe you just wanted to go back and say, I wish I had another shot, and then maybe go there and say, okay, now I can try it again?
I'd like to redo food photos, and it doesn't have to be the same restaurant, but I was starting out and I look at the stuff and I did it and I enjoyed it. I look at them now, and to me, those are not my best shots. They are special shots because they are, precious memories to us. But as far as photos go, I've got a better phone now with a better camera. I also have learned some things. Yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to doing some food photos. I'm also just looking forward to getting some personal fun photos. The race weekend, I'd like to get some photos of that. I am a city girl. I love my city lights. I'm a night owl, so I love the nighttime. I mean, everything there is it's almost like it's set up for me.
I think that's a good point. And also, I think the fact that we're going there in mind with taking some photos might even dictate some of the things that we do. So, for example, we may go look at some restaurants and say, oh, we can't eat here. The background is horrible.
Yes. And we do stuff like this.
But this time, what we're doing is we're using different gear. And I think that is going to be a little bit of a challenge in some places, but it's also going to add some convenience because we're taking small stuff.
Yeah, I think you win some and you lose some. We don't have all the options that are available with a big DSLR and all the lenses, but we also have the convenience that there are things you can do with a small camera and a phone that you just difficult and cumbersome with the DSLR.
Well, when you've got the big DSLR, you're very conspicuous. When you're out there with an iPhone or maybe a GoPro or a little pocket, point and shoot camera, you're just blending in with everybody else there because that's the kind of stuff that most people are taking on vacation.
But I mean, think about it. Food photography with a DSLR at a table for two in a full restaurant. It's just, it is a pain.
Yeah,
you almost don't want to do it. Because it's so difficult. I mean, I remember once at Hard Rock Cafe standing on the seat.
That's what I was just thinking about.
To take an aerial photo, and the place was packed. If I don't care if people are looking. In fact, I don't think I even looked around. It was maybe afterwards. Tove said, I think people were staring at us. Do I look like I care? I didn't even notice. But the point is, it is difficult, and some places might not be so accommodating with it. I think there are advantages to having something smaller. You do blend in. Everybody's taking photos with a phone or a small camera now. Nobody bats an eye.
No. And, I remember years ago, you could never pull out a camera in a casino. These days, there are walkthrough videos of casinos on YouTube.
All over.
So you've got plenty of access in a city like Las Vegas. I think what we want to do is, this is kind of like telling you what we're planning on. We're going back to a location we've been before. And then we want to come back and show, here's what we did. We'll show some examples of what we've done before. I don't think that's going to work on the podcast, obviously, since we can't really show the photos. But maybe we'll combine that with a YouTube video to show the photos like before and after.
Yeah.
And show a little bit of what we did and maybe the video that we're talking about. I hope it works out, because if it doesn't, it would call us out.
Yeah, but we'll tell it like it is. This is the plan. This isn't the end product yet.
But we're hoping that this will give you some ideas for your travel photography, particularly if you're going back to a place that you've been before. We think it's really nice to go back to the places where we are comfortable and enjoy ourselves, and then we can pull out some nice photos and share it with friends, family, and anybody else who wants to take a look. Thank you very much for listening to us on the Photo Flunky Show, episode 98. And of course, show notes are going to be let me try that again. Show notes are going to be at williambeem.com/episode 98. And you will find links there to subscribe to the show. We would love to have you. Go ahead and sign up on iTunes or Apple Music, whatever they're calling it this week. Google Play Music, Blueberry, Stitcher Radio. We would love to have you as a subscriber. Thank you so much. We'll see you again next week.